Hello, this is Creating with Your Spiritual Universe, and I'm Roger Baines, your host. And today we're going to talk chakras and why I no longer have them. And it's very interesting because many people are starting to ask about the chakra system. And as we grow in consciousness and awareness, many of the things that were once not an issue for us or not even noticeable are now not comfortable anymore. And this system is one of the things that people are starting to question because of how they're feeling and what they're seeing, and as the new information comes out. So, in my work as a healer and an intuitive, I've worked with the chakras and I've worked with uh, the original energy centers. And I will tell you this right now, the chakra system is an implant system. Okay, the chakra system is an imposed system that is not our natural state. It is a system to compartmentalize our energy for easy access to outsiders and energy vampires. This system has been in place for thousands of years, and up until recently, no one questioned it. It's very big in the New Age community. It comes from the actual philosophies and explanation of the chakras, comes from Eastern doctrines. But make no bones about it, these are not our natural energy systems. And we're going to discuss in detail what these guys are, what these chakras are, and what our natural energy systems are, and what they look like, and how they function. Okay? Now, why do we have the chakras? Okay, the chakras were placed onto us so that specific energies can be accessed. This easy access is ideal to control and manipulate our energy fields and our minds. They were placed there, some say by ETs, some say by beings who control and run this matrix. Whichever way, it doesn't matter. They're not a part of our energy systems. And once we realize what they are and we want to and want to get rid of them, we can get rid of them because they're not ours. If you like your chakras and you want to keep them, you can keep them. So there's no problem there. Whichever way decision you make, to keep them or to take them or to get rid of them, both of those are possibilities. You have free will in that choice. Now that the information is now here and with us. Now, I did research on this, and I based it on, again, my work as an intuitive healer, and as well as some of the work of other healers and other intuitives. And two in particular that I'm going to be mentioning here is the work of Laura Lee Mystica and Og Tellez. Og Tellez is one of those visionaries, and you can catch a lot of his videos on YouTube as well. Og Tellez, AUGTELLEZ, and talks about many fascinating subjects on his channel there. Now, to get back to the subject at hand, these particular things that I call implants are there to control us and manipulate us. And we're going to get into how that is done right now. Now, if you were a being, and I know that particularly spirits cannot see words, they cannot really maneuver in this reality like we can. They can't read our thoughts. They can't communicate with us in the same way that we communicate with each other. But what spirits do is read energy. They can read our expressions, our moods, through our energy. Now, let's say that this is the case. You can't really communicate with someone in the way that they are used to being communicated with. You can't really see, especially a low form, low consciousness dimensional being. Okay? How else could you, but you needed the energy. That's the thing. You needed the energy of the beings that you were looking at and monitoring. But you needed to know how to, you needed indicators. You needed to know how, when, where, and what, when they were ready, how, who was ready to, whose energy you could siphon off, and such the like. You would have to come up with a system. And you would base that system on energy, something that you could interpret and read and interact with very easily. Okay? Now, these beings, they are, in a way, blind in this reality in many, many ways. They cannot maneuver in this reality without us. They need us to be able to maneuver and 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 make their way into this society. So say a spirit or alien or whatever created a genetically modified or modification system completely based on energy that it can decode, that it can control, manipulate, and feed at will upon whatever it is that it placed that energy onto. Okay, it can then communicate, it can then see, and then it can have all the information it needs. Now, let's say that in this system, you create low vibration energy, right? As a counterpart for the survival, physical dependency on making it, surviving, and fear. So you wanted to find out when that circumstance within a being or within a person was at its highest, or where they were in that regard. You would create a system for that. Sounds a lot like it would be like the root chakra, right? And then you would create something that could identify, depict, and translate sexual energy through a certain low vibe section, low vibrational counterpart to sexual energy. You'd create that. That's the sacral chakra. And then there's the love and compassion energy, so that you can monitor the heart. So you see how now you have all these layers going. And then also one for, say, the teaching and communication section, which is the throat chakra. And then you would make one for vision, okay, and understanding. One that would sort of translate what's going on with third eye. And then, of course, one that disperses energy. That crown chakra is linked, according to the definition of universal energy, right? And so you could take the crown chakra and basically place energy through that chakra to affect all of the others. Okay, and then you basically create contracts and agreements and time release mechanisms. A time release mechanism is when this particular situation, which could be time, could be readiness as far as the body being able to withstand it, whatever the conditions are, then there would be sort of a release where these systems would be placed automatically on a person and integrated, while at the same time shutting down the original systems, the systems that are part of the natural nature of humanity. And then once they get integrated, the systems that are your original systems are shut down, and the energy rerouted through these implants, these energetic implants known as chakras. Now think about this. A being who cannot hear us through our words, cannot see our thoughts, cannot truly determine with great accuracy our moods, the when, the where, the how, the why, how you're feeling, what your plans are, what you're going to do, how big of a threat you are. A being that can't just read that would need a system like this. You know, you could find out what kind of energy you emanated and every single thing, so that they could play you, like I said earlier, and control you in whatever way that they choose. And here's the kicker. You are none the wiser, and you're not aware that some of the things that are going on within you, some of the ways that you're feeling, has nothing to do with you inherently, but that you're being interfered with from the outside through these energetic implants. Now, if you think about this, doesn't this sound a lot, as Ogtella says, as he says, doesn't this sound like a color coding system that tells a being when someone is ripe for harvesting, who needs more time? It's like a farmer tending his farm. You know, who needs to be dealt with so that they produce? Who is doing the things that are counterproductive to being fed upon? Who is making it hard to be vampirized or hacked? They can do all of these things through the system. So now you're programmable through your being decompartmentalized. At this point, you're decompartmentalized. You are fragmented and broken in many different layers. And that's what these chakras do. Basically, the base areas, the lower half of your body, the energy center is broken down into 3 separate parts. You know, your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus, and then your heart, your throat chakra, and your third eye, and then your crown. They're all separate. That's not how you came here. You didn't come here segmented and broken up. We didn't come here that way. But this has to happen for you to be controlled, for your energy to be contained. See, because when you're segmented like this, it's a way to contain you. And so if you spike in consciousness, awareness, and light, boom, it sets off an alarm. And then you are fed upon until you're brought back down and contained. There's an alert that goes on. So this is a continuous cycle. That's why I get a lot of people who go, you know, I was doing really, really well. I felt I was progressing. Things were going great. I felt spiritual growth happening. I could literally see myself like gaining, and then suddenly something happened. Suddenly something happened, and now I'm in the doldrums. I don't know what happened. It's like I dropped like a fly. You'll hear terms like, or I've heard, I feel like I'm going through another dark night of the soul. And all of these things, that's because the minute you start ticking up, you set off alarm bells. And the chakra system is the system used to monitor you. Add to that the fact that you have orders and belief systems that teach you to contain your own energy. Keeping yourself contained in a self-imposed prison. And so that's what this system does. But this is not all bad news. I have to tell you what this is, because we now have the answer on how to take care of this. and we will be discussing it, but it's good to really get into the nuts and bolts of it, because the way I'm talking about the chakras very rarely is spoken about in this fashion. Very rarely is spoken about in this fashion. Now, I'm going to touch on the original energy centers, the ones that you are born with, the ones that are a part of you, the ones that they shut down to put those fake ones in. Okay? And they come in three. Basically, you have three main energy centers, and these energy centers work together in unison as one. When you're born, they're all working together. They're not fragmented, and they all work and have different responsibilities within the body. Energetically, I'm talking here. Energetically. Okay, you have, first of all, the core or heart chakra, or the sun star. And the core, the core of this system is the heart. All right, the heart. And then it also stretches down to the solar plexus, so the sun star part, because each of us has a sun within us, as I've said in a previous video. And that sun, we don't talk about it a lot, but that area just below the chest is called the solar plexus. Solar is Latin, I believe. Latin, I believe it is, for sun. Okay, so it's called the triad. This is the authentic energy center that we have. It comprises the core, heart, or sun star energy center, which is the core. And then you have the head, the energy center in the head, which is the brain, the pineal, the hypothalamus. And then at the end, you've got the one that's down in the stomach. Many refer to it as the belly brain. I often refer to it as the belly brain. And that is the creative power energy center. And those are our original energy center. And they are tied in together when you are born. Now, each person has these three, but they're slightly different in everyone, because you see, these energy centers are encrypted. They're encrypted. They cannot be hacked. They have to be bypassed. Okay? But once you realize that they have been bypassed and you want to go back to your original energy center, it never dies. They just get bypassed and shut down. You have the power to reawaken your original core of energy, the one that's you. You have the right, the universal right, to decide that you want to change that. And you have the universal right to go with the implants too. All right? It's not about me telling you to get rid of your chakras. It's about, I just want you to know that there is a choice and that you have the information. That you have the information. Now, here's the difference between your original centers and the ones the imposters. Let's just face it, they are, because you didn't come here with them. You have to maintain the chakras all the time. They're spinning too fast. They're spinning too slow. They are gunked up. They're out of line with each other. They're this, they're that. You've all heard, if you know anything about chakras, you've heard it all. Nothing that is originally you has to be maintained in that fashion. The maintenance is automatic. Do you have to ask your heart to beat at a proper rhythm? If you have a normal heart and not any conditions, do you ever have to think about telling your heart to stop beating so fast? Or slow it down, heart? Or let's get the gunk out of their heart. No, nothing that is naturally a part of you needs that kind of maintenance. You just need to take care of yourself in the normal fashion, and everything else takes care of itself. That is the first indicator that this is a false light construct, the chakras. That is the first indicator that it's false light, because everything false light needs your energy in order to keep going. And anything that is you is just simply you, and contributes to you while you contribute to it. And there's no parasitism. There's a harmonious interaction going on. And the original energy centers cannot be manipulated. Once you have decided that you no longer want, if you decide that you no longer want your chakras, there's a way of going about in what I call chakra integration. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Now, I'm going to make this into two parts, just to break the information down, and so that, again, there's not too much information in one sitting, because I know this is going to be a bit of a shocker for some people, and some people are going to go, I don't believe that. And I am one that always says, do your own research. Don't believe me. Okay? And if you have a third eye, or if you can see, or if you can check on the validity, or you have clear knowing to know whether something is true or false, I beg of you to use those skills and those gifts. And ensure that you're connected to your true spirit and not an imposter spirit. Because the universe, if this information is true, the universe will keep sending you reinforcers about this information. If you're listening to this, there's a great chance that I am one of those people giving you the reinforcers about this system. Because here is the other thing you have to realize. You know how I talked about how we're maintained and kept down? Well, once you get to a certain level of attainment and you're working on yourself, you're going to find that if you have your chakras, you're going to find that there is something that happens. You hit a ceiling. You literally do. And this is when I get a lot of people come to me and they go, you know, I'm at a ceiling. I feel like I can't get, no matter what I do, I can't get any more expansion. That'll be the word. There'll be key words and things that people say. I can't get any more expansion. They might not know why, but they're able to describe it. I'm going to look in, I see those chakras, and I go, it's time for you to integrate your chakras. And I explain to them, you know, the ins and the outs, because you can only get so high and so far with the chakras before you're limited. And remember I mentioned earlier about, I hear many people in the New Age talking about all these other new chakras coming in. That's because they have to adjust to the consciousness. And so they put these other chakras in so you can actually get a little bit higher, but it's still within their system. They still are controlling you. They still get to monitor you. Okay? So removing those chakras and bringing your original energy centers back online is about sovereignty and about you taking control and kicking the imposters out of your being, because they do not have your best interests at hand and they see you as cattle to be fed upon. So I'm going to be making part 2 here really soon about what we can do, how to do it, and any kind of assistance, and offering any kind of assistance should you need it. So I believe that's it for this half of the video. I'm going to leave it as it is here at this particular moment. And I want to thank you for listening and thank you for watching. And until the next video, dare to defy the taboo against finding out who you are.